All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Oh, thank you all. The Friday crowd, my favorite recorded crowd. Nice to see everyone here, and Albert,
thank you.
Decided to stop through, as has Kim.
How are you?
Yeah.
This is so ridiculous.
I need to put my credibility glasses on. I look for it's like the studio's dark today. What is the reason for that?
This is so ridiculous.
I know. I don't know why that is. Let me try doing this. Is like where we just kind of work it all out in our first few moments. Everybody can please take a second to yourselves.
Well, you figure that out. I'll read this from Richard Delamater with a couple. He says, "Remarkables, well, you've been my Valentine. I love you."
Oh, that's a very sweet
shout-out.
sentiment from a guy who's all full of sweetness. Do you have tinted lenses? I do on these glasses.
This is so ridiculous.
It's my new favorite drop. I'm loving it, from Pam Bondi, who is a drop machine. Oh my God. All right, everybody. Glad you could be here. Got Michael and Mo coming up in hour 2. And I've got all kinds of stuff in hour 1. I will also share with you a preview of, it's the Dow, Mark. A preview of a conversation that we're going to be having later today, and it will be airing Tuesday. It's a pretty great conversation with a someone who really has expertise in the area of dementia and works with elderly patients now for, I think he's got 18 years or 14 to 18 years working with elderly patients, all of whom on some level deal with challenges of dementia and sort of the physical diminishment that comes with age. We all have to deal with it. Well, Donald Trump is displaying a lot of these infirmities, mental infirmities, in ways that are cognitive infirmities.
I think infirmities is totally dingable.
No, it probably is. I think you're right. But what is the story with is a light not on here in the studio that's normally on or something? Why is it so dark? Or is it just me?
Oh, and that's not just you. It's definitely darker.
I think it looks like I might put up one of these.
Not that one. Something's odd.
I might put up one of these and you could go run around and.
It's kind of a mood, though, isn't it? It's like,
I don't.
Dark. Get a little jazz music playing.
Maybe, yeah. It's not a mood that I'm going for.
Oh, you brightened it up a little bit there.
It's like, geez,
I think you're good now, maybe. What do you think, Albert?
It's better, but I don't know what's happened. It's like, anyway.
Is it this? Is the color?
No, it should be, everything should be exactly the same. I don't change anything. But I'm sorry, everybody. We're just trying to get this right. We want it to look okay. You think the color's off on this one? On this one? Oh. Interesting.
This is so ridiculous.
Really, Courtney, have a seat. Welcome. On Fridays, we like to slide into the show in kind of an informal way, read some emails, do that sort of thing. So if you're here for the heavy stuff, we'll get it for you. You may want to skip through this first part. But I've
received a lot of positive letters.
There is, by the way, he just had Trump did one of those, press gaggle things, and I'll give you that in just a second. Courtney, welcome. You're mentioned in an email from a listener. Let me see if I can just find it.
How nice.
Yeah, it was pretty. He was quite taken by your voice, apparently. Courtney is my
that's so nice. Well,
better half, and she's here.
I live in a house with a constant radio voice.
That is true. It's obnoxious. I'm sorry about that. It really is sort of obnoxious.
Nice to get some recognition.
This was I thought, an interesting email that was sent to me, because this person mentioned something that I had referred to, and this is important kind of show stuff. Delmar is his name. And he says, it's a long email, and I won't give you the whole thing because it is kind of lengthy.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Hi, Mark. I want to say I really enjoy your show. I always expect when somebody says, I want to say that, but.
But alas,
There's a
I
but
cannot.
coming.
What?
Yeah.
No, he says, I love the authenticity of your show. Oh, that's one way to put it.
Yeah. He must be new.
I like how you are human, and if you make a mistake, that's okay. Well, typically the other people around me have made mistakes. I seldom make mistakes.
What?
Again, he's new.
I do it every single day, sometimes all day. What is that, Albert? What did you have a? Yeah, I don't know what the look. Everybody just okay. I just like how you were genuine and real. I'd also like to say that I like the voice of the love of your life.
Oh,
Your significant other. She has a beautiful, soft voice. Her voice just makes me melt when I hear it. Isn't that sweet?
That's so nice.
You found your Valentine just in time here, Courtney.
I know. I was going to say that's the nicest thing I'm going to hear for Valentine's Day.
That's exactly right, actually.
Thank you,
Sal the Shoemaker says Courtney has a beautiful voice. Sorry, Mark. She should do a podcast.
She should. I'd
you.
like her to.
Yeah.
I wish somebody was doing something around here besides me.
Yeah.
I'm sure her voice does the same thing for you too, he says.
Yeah, exactly.
I discovered you on YouTube through YouTube's algorithm showing up on my television, and I'm very pleased.
And that's why you have to hit the like button right there, right?
Thank you
There
very
you go.
much. Smash it.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Do it. You are one of the very few political commentators left that call a spade a spade. You don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. When you see someone doing wrong, you call it out. I thank you for that point of view. One of the worst laws, I believe, that President Reagan did away with is the fairness doctrine. I have some friends that will only listen to CNN for their news. I have other friends that will only listen to Fox News for their news. This is what I believe keeps us divided. Well, I think the communication bubble that we're in is unquestionably I was going to say negative influences like that. Negative influence doesn't even begin to talk about how pernicious it is as an influence on American society. Anyway, before the fairness doctrine was repealed, the news media had to provide both points of view. It also refers to be fair, to pardon the expression in this case, to be fair. I wonder if it's that light over there that's not normally on. I don't know what's going on. Something's weird.
I'll turn it off.
Yeah, but what I would say is
It's probably
that
just you.
it may just be me. The I don't want to say advent, but the popularity of cable television, the proliferation of cable television, proliferation is definitely a ding word. I think that is one of the reasons that you're seeing such an echo chamber on both sides, because now you don't really have a fairness doctrine, even a presumption of fairness being at a premium in any way. When you're on broadcast television, there was an obligation, a public obligation that was supposedly enforced at the federal level to see to that license being extended only if you provided a sort of the fairness under the fairness doctrine umbrella. You don't have that anymore with the proliferation of cable television. But here was a part that just related to the show. You mentioned something in yesterday's show that you're going to do something for the members who support you through Patreon. I think it's wonderful that people can support you in a consistent way for your show. I know it costs a lot of money and time for you. God bless them for that. I'm on a fixed income and not able to help you. I'm in a financial difficulty at this time, and all I ask, if at all possible, is that you not go behind the Patreon paywall with your show. I tinker with old tube radios as a hobby, which is really cool. Sounds like a really cool guy. And I'm a radio restorationist. And I followed you and went this is what, as a hobby, and one of your radio restorationists that I followed went into the Patreon paywall. I see. And he goes on a little bit more. Please don't move but be behind a Patreon paywall. So let me just say, and thank you. Have a great day, Delmar. And Delmar, thank you for a lengthy and wonderful email that was quite flattering to Courtney as well. I will say this, and I guess I want to make this clear. I was talking about Patreon and everything. My hair color looks weird too. I'm going to the hair color person. I don't know. Everything feels weird today.
You're having
This
a
is
good
so
day.
ridiculous.
Yes,
This is
Delmar.
starting off very strong.
I feel Delmar
Very
was
strong.
very nice, and I don't know that I'm deserving of his niceness. But I do want to say this. This show will never be behind a paywall. You never have to worry about that. This show will always be free to you. Always, always, always. I will take the show down before I put it behind a paywall, okay? It'll never be behind a paywall. We come from broadcast. I'm used to broadcasting. That's why I need advertisers. That's why I need your support, so that it can be free to everyone. So you never have to worry, Delmar or anyone else. I will never put it behind a Patreon paywall. What I was trying to say the other day is that we're trying to think of ways that we can add some value for some of the people who support us at larger levels every month. There are people who really give us some more substantial amounts of money, and I'd love to be able to return that in some way by giving you some content. That's what I was talking about. But this show, wall-to-wall, 2 hours, live every day, Monday through Friday, it will always be available to you live, and that I absolutely promise. So, it is Friday the 13th, says V. Richard. It is true. Courtney, do you believe in that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
You're a numbers person, actually.
Yeah. I am
Courtney's
a
very much in
numbers
like when we check into a hotel. Oh my God, that's 621. 621, if you add it up, is like, right?
It's 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a numbers person. Friday the 13th is not. It's not my favorite day. My stepfather was born on the 13th, so inevitably his birthday would fall on Fridays. But yeah, but it falls before the day that is least celebrated in our house, which is Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah. Well, Courtney, that's why you're here, to get the love of everybody.
Yeah.
Here. Right.
Thank you, Delmar, for showing me, the most.
I do hug and kiss people casually.
Maybe you should go to Governor Cuomo and see if he might be in the.
Oh Lord.
Now, Courtney, I wonder. So that was just one of the.
It was nice. You sort of moved off the part about me kind of quickly, but it was otherwise very nice.
Yeah. I also wanted to thank Bob Deline for editing his Patreon support way up from $50 a month to $75 a month.
That's so
Are
nice.
you kidding me?
That's so nice.
Wow, that's so wonderful, so generous. Look at any level, anything you come in on with Patreon and PayPal really does help us. We're trying to do things with the show to expand our reach so that we can stay on. And sadly, you got to spend money to bring money in, and that's sort of also a thanks to Renee, a $20 super chat.
Big shout out.
It's a super sticker, actually. Not even chatting, just sticking. Loving it.
There you go.
Yeah. Courtney thought you'd had it darker in honor of Friday the 13th, says what this is.
There you go.
Ready for the horror movies on Friday at the movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's darker. My Zellman mints are on the way, says JT.
Oh, wow. Thank you, JT.
Yeah.
See, that's so nice.
Zellmans.com. Use our discount code, Mark T. You get 15% off. Happy Valentine's Day to the best listeners around, says Jim Slayton. I love you all almost as much as Trump loves himself.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Very,
that's
very
a lot.
sweet.
That was very inappropriate.
And I'm just saying, that's the, that seems to be. For the obvious, Harry Magnan and a martini with a kimikaze back. $13 for Friday the 13th.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to Harry Magnan. Loving it.
That's not fake. That's real.
Exactly. Excited about all of you being here. $75 a month. Mark appeals to the moneyed elite, says Tom. Thank God for the moneyed elite. Yeah. I'm center right, but I respect the show, Spencer Jaffe says.
Wow.
Yeah. What is center right now? I wonder.
He's been center right, and he's been here for almost this whole time. I've seen
It's
his
true.
name.
It's true.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't.
We
I don't
haven't
think
moved. Maybe we moved him center.
Yeah,
Maybe he's center
say.
right
Yeah,
because Yeah,
the Overton window is always moving. Super sticker
Big
from
shout
Dan
out.
Sylvia for $5. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. My hair is it looks like a weird color, and it's like going up.
This is what we do in the pre-show.
I
Mark.
know. I don't know
Yeah.
why today. I feel, and I'm looking at it. It's all horrible. I'm so sorry, everybody. You go, Mark. Deny, deny, deny. Making any mistakes. I'm not denying,
This is
Randy.
so
How
ridiculous.
dare you? Yeah. I love my Pam Bondi. Everything.
That's so great.
Bondi was very generously gave us a lot of fodder. It is true,
She did.
Glenn B. We have so many drops coming from Pam
Yeah,
Bondi.
I just had this one. I found like 3 or 4 others instantly in just one little riff. So
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
She was a drop machine, you know. Perfect. That what is that snarky attitude that
Oh,
works
yeah.
so well on this show? Yeah, it's perfect. And of course, the one I also want, Albert, is what?
is it the Dow? Is it the Dow?
Well, the Dow is great. No, but I'm talking about apart from Bondi, what were they all saying, and what do I want?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Right,
Right.
reclaiming my
Right.
time.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Reclaiming my time.
Those clips are actually hard to get because it's just them just talking
over each other. I know.
Yeah.
You have to isolate them, but I did catch a couple of them, so I think it is gettable. Pam Bondi was a joke, says Spencer. Yeah, indeed. She was disrespectful. Yeah.
This is so ridiculous.
PNE. You know, what I would say is, God, that'll never get old. I would say this about Pam Bondi, and then I just want to mention one of our partners, and then I'll let Courtney go, and then I'll get to the gaggle that Trump did just a second ago. You know, this is a part of our government, supposedly. I mean, understand now you have amateurs who are agenda-driven. Their fealty to Trump is the only thing that's important. But the idea of congressional oversight is mandated. I mean, it's part of the foundational infrastructure, if you will, of our government. And so that oversight that she was part of is, again, mandated. It is not the kind of thing that you can flip the bird to. This administration seems to just want to do whatever they want to do without any kind of oversight from government. And to be fair to them, they pretty much gotten away with it. Most of their Congress, dominated by their party, has stepped aside and let them do it. But what I'm suggesting is, if you go in with the attitude that, you know, you guys are all a bunch of jerks and I don't need to sully myself by even responding to your questions.
I'm not getting in the gutter with you.
Yeah. I mean, there is a contemptuousness about that that is awful. I mean, you as a public servant in that job as Attorney General must respond to the questions, straightforward questions offered by these Congress people. It is a part of the oversight that is foundational to the U.S. So if you go in with this contemptuousness, it's unpatriotic, if you want to think of it that way. It's outrageous. And I thought, in addition to just being, she almost seemed like she was buzzed or drunk or something. Like she was just so, it felt like it was late at the bar. and she'd been overserved. It really did. She was combative on a level that was and disorganized, and you know, flipping through her burn book binder. She violated her legal ethics and should be disbarred, says Mobius. Well, that really may be something that could happen. We talked to David Katz. If you missed the David Katz conversation, go back. It's up now on our YouTube channel, and you can listen and watch as Katz basically dismantles, from a legal perspective, both where she is and where others are kind of going to end up, and where they're going to be in terms of blowback. For every non-answer, her department should lose $50 million, says Calvin Wong. Yeah, shadow producer of the show, Calvin
Wouldn't it
Wong.
be nice if there actually was a penalty when you didn't answer the question?
Yeah, exactly. Or a buzzer, something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
It's the Mark Thompson congressional hearing.
the buzzer.
Survey says.
The buzzer equivalent is "I'm reclaiming my time." I mean, that's the buzzer.
Yeah.
That they don't have a buzzer, but "I'm reclaiming my time" is their buzzer. She is a fascist and drunk on her own power, says My Back 40. I agree. I mean, I agree. She's. They're all drunk on their own power, and again, to be fair to them, in a kind of perverse way, the GOP has let them get drunk on their own power because they've given them so much power. just it seemed like a possible Adderall martini anger fest, says Tammy. Wow, that really breaks it down. Very, very impressive. Yeah.
It's very specific.
Sounds like someone who's experienced in that department. Awesome. I feel like it takes one to know one in that situation.
Yeah, that is. I don't know.
Don't talk to me that way.
All right, let's quickly, if I can, just mention one of our lovely sponsors who I am so grateful for. The Mark Thompson Show. You know, I mentioned that it's important to get partners, commercial partners on with sponsorships for this channel, because to stay on the air, we need to do it. I mean, the next thing I need to spend money on is better lighting, clearly.
And your hair.
Yeah, I need to get a stylist in. It's crazy.
I have a guy right in your area. I'll refer you.
It's true.
I'm so grateful for successful partnerships. And we've been approached by a number of different sponsors. So I want you to know that we road test and investigate all of our sponsors and our partners. And these are, in very important ways, partnerships. And so we have to be comfortable with the sponsors that come on the show. So we road tested all of these, everything from Coachella Valley Coffee to Zellman's Mints to the Sweet 106 Bakery people. And the Sweet 106 Bakery people, again, fall into the same category of those that we are just excited about. And the origin story is a significant one. It's a wonderful origin story based in community, but more than anything, I mean, if it was just a good origin story, it wouldn't be enough to get it here. Mm-hmm. It's a delicious product. It's a wonderful product. Small batch, baked cupcakes, brownies.
Yeah, handmade.
Exactly.
Small batch, baked goods. They're so good. We enjoyed them and have all of my family members have been ordering them as well, because they're all excited about the partnership. And if you need a last minute Valentine's gift, they have the digital gift cards.
Yeah, it's
so
great.
You could order that and give that to somebody, and then they can decide what they want to order for themselves.
Yeah, you can still jam the sweetness in before the holiday hits.
Yeah, we
with
got
a digital gift card. There it is. Albert had it on for a second. That's very cool.
And we got such a sweet note from Christy, who's the founder and CEO, and she just loves hearing from the community, and she's just very excited to be part of the show.
Yeah,
she's incredibly grateful.
Your interaction with her is really means a lot. So all of you who have ordered and who have interacted with Christy, thank you.
Yeah.
Sweet 106, it's SUITE. It started in Sweet 106. That's why they call it Sweet 106.
Yeah, it's a play on words.
Yeah. So sweet106bakery.com. And again, the Valentine cookie sundae, the layered cupcake. Look, the layered cupcake is I'm sorry. I could.
Yeah, they get the ratios right. Because sometimes, when you have a cupcake, you have all that frosting on top. You have to calculate your bites. You don't have to calculate.
That is so true. God,
that is true.
That is a great a great breakdown.
No
That's exactly right.
Needed.
That's not fake.
Exactly.
That's real.
Exactly.
Give it to Courtney. She's found some of my favorite things. It'll be long after the Mark Thompson Show has faded into history. I'll be drinking my Coachella Valley vanilla tea.
Thank you.
And I'll be scooping up bites of that Snickers cupcake cake.
Oh,
it's the truth. Oh my
Me
God.
too.
Yeah,
I know. It's already it's already sort of faded for me, but definitely.
What is that? What's faded?
The
honey?
show.
I know what you meant, but I just want to be clear. This is people always wonder how come that you don't seem like they're very romantic. Why? No, it's sniping back and forth, mostly from Courtney. Putting me down all day. Yeah, the show's already faded for me a little bit, to be honest. Yeah. Sweet 106, your voice is so beautiful. I don't hear it the way everybody else does. Anyway, look, you're getting in the way
no
of...
truer words have been said this morning.
Sweet 106 Bakery, layered cupcakes. It's 3.5, the last thing on the layered cupcakes.
It's 3.5 cupcakes.
In that
really nice, easy to ship, eat.
They're in those. You see them on screen now.
Containers, branding. And if you're interested in the origin story, in the backstory of Christy and Sweet 106, she was on the show, so you can
you can
go and find her
that
interview.
too. Well, she'll be back as well. But so proud of our partnership with Sweet 106 Bakery. Sweet106bakery.com, SUITE, sweet106bakery.com. Big thing is Mark T at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Albert and Kim.
Yeah.
Bye, Courtney.
Bye.
Bye.
Valentine's
Mark
Day.
Thompson Show.
Happy Valentine's Day, Courtney. And yeah. So I'm anxious to share with you some of what the president has done. He's done something that's heartbreaking to me. And I'm going to get into it in a bigger way in hour 2. And that is the embracing of coal, the dirtiest energy there is, the complete undermining of the EPA and the general notion that so many of these pollutants that were regulated will no longer be regulated. You know, the general notion is, of course, that they contributed to this climate crisis that we're in. And of course, it's I think it's heartbreaking from a pure polluting standpoint. I mean, I think these are corporate polluters that are getting away with a destruction of habitats, of the planet, of communities, that it's a polluting of air, soil, and water that is shortening lives, that is ruining lives, that is making this place so much unhealthier than it needs to be. I mean, we've seen the positive effects of EPA regulation. Those of you who live in Southern California, you know, there used to be first and second stage smog alerts in the valley, the San Fernando Valley. There used to regularly be what they'd call first and second stage smog alerts. And during those smog alerts, and they were frequent, they would warn against outdoor activity. Kids shouldn't play on the playgrounds. You shouldn't work out, shouldn't run. Stay away from outdoor activity. They don't have that anymore because of the rollback in pollutants, because of the regulatory apparatus that was put in place to handle those pollutants.
I remember that back in the day visiting my dad in LA, and you couldn't even see the mountains. You look, I mean, normally where you could just see them, very visibly, there was so much smog in the air that the mountains were obscured by gray.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. You could see it. And I'll tell you, it's still something that I complain about. One of the things I complain about in Los Angeles is, and this is true in so many cities around the country and maybe even communities wherever you are, I don't think it's necessarily unique to big cities, but it's certainly concentrated in big cities, is that smell, it's carbon monoxide smell, the smell of pollutants. And the reason I mention it is, again, there should be no debate on this issue. Dirty energy is dirty. And you can throw the word clean in front of it, as Trump has, but it does not change the stark reality, which is that this stuff is shortening lives. It's creating emphysema, asthma, all sorts of respiratory issues, even heart issues, not to mention the carcinogens that ride on all of this stuff. So these pollutants get deep into your lungs. We've done this story before. And the way that they seed deep into your lungs creates an increasing potential for cancer. If anyone has grown up around all the chemical plants here in Southeast Texas, says Donna, they know the dangers of not having an environmental protection control. And Trump just threw it away. Thank you. That's a brilliant point from a place, they call it the chemical coast in Southeast Texas for a reason. It is filled with chemical plants, with the oil industry. And there are more Superfund sites. I don't know if you recall, Superfund sites are, in essence, they've been declared by the EPA so toxified that they require all this government money to sort of to try to detoxify them. And typically, it goes on years and years and years, and sometimes they're never detoxified. There are more of those sites in Southeast Texas, the place that Donna's talking about, than any other place in America. And those are chemical companies and oil companies that have been allowed to run amok without regulation. I mean, Texas is just, embracing them and has historically. So the only chance that you have to avoid these carcinogens, these toxins, these poisons is with even the tepid regulations that came out of the EPA. And now Trump has wiped them away on a level that is despicable. It is truly the poisoning of the American public and the world at large from a greenhouse gas standpoint. COPD, rampant in Southeast Texas. Heart disease, rampant in Southeast Texas, Donna says. And now he's going to make it worse. He's going to bring it back to 06. Exactly. Thank you for that. That really puts a specific face on it. Billionaires are rolling back pollution levels like before. Politicians like Trump are going to kill this planet. Yeah, exactly. Billionaires are rolling back to pollution levels like before, and politicians like Trump are going to kill this planet. Kevin, you're right. That's exactly right. This is clearly a gift to the billionaire elite club that Trump had behind him. The Lee Zeldins of the world is running the EPA now. The Doug Burgums of the world is running the Interior Department. Trump digs coal. They create some little cute character, Mr. Coley. Why don't you create a little character, Mr. Emphysema? Or another little cute character, Cancer Carl, you can call him. I mean, it's really, it's insulting, man. It's truly insulting. It's a gift to industry. And industry had pivoted. Even the oil companies have begun to pivot to alternative energy. It's Donald Trump who hasn't pivoted. He's still in like 1958 or something. His whole worldview is locked in the 50s and early 60s. Ole Hansen says Trump is unregulated, indeed. So I'm going to play you more of Trump or some of Donald Trump in regard to this issue. And, he's all about going after what he considers the Green New Deal, Green New Scam. What does he call it? The Scam New Deal, whatever it was. But the Dow hit 50,000. Yeah, I love that. I love that. All right. Let me get to the gaggle he just did. Smash the like button if you would. Helps us in the world of YouTube.
Smash
we end up on
with your iron rod.
some feeds that we wouldn't otherwise. So really do appreciate that. And now I'll get you to some Trump news. Then I want to touch on the Tulsi Gabbard story, which is remarkable. And yet it's so on brand for these guys. So
The Mark Thompson Show.
Donald Trump leaving the White House. He loves these sort of press gaggles. One of the reasons he does is because he can just sort of pick and choose what he wants to answer, right? And that was the case just moments ago. He was leaving the White House, and I guess he is still talking a little bit about Greenland, from what I could see, right? Here's Trump on the White House driveway.
You mean the way it happened? Yeah. People learn. People learn.
Greenland doesn't want Europe controlling them anymore. What's your message?
Well, I think Greenland's going to want us, but we get along very well with Europe. We'll see how it all works out. We're negotiating right now for Greenland.
Do you think the cartels are at all involved in Nancy Guthrie's case or another nation state potentially?
You can't say that yet, believe it or not. But it's somebody either do what they were doing very well or they were rank amateurs. Either way, it's not a good situation.
Do you think Sean Duffy should be held accountable?
I'll have great relationship with them. If it wasn't for me, they'd be paying 2% and not paying. Instead, they're paying 5% and they're paying. We have a very good relationship with NATO.
How confident are you that our negotiations with Iran will be successful?
I think they'll be successful, and if they're not, it's going to be a bad day for Iran. Very bad. We're talking, but we have to protect law enforcement. ICE has done a phenomenal job. Border Patrol, we have a closed border for the first time in the history. We have to protect law enforcement, our police, our Border Patrol, ICE.
Right. We have to protect law enforcement unless they're protecting the Capitol, in which case we beat them within an inch of their lives. Yeah, that's this is a there's almost nothing I love about those situations because they're it's quick responses and everything is very surface. So it very much favors Trump, who knows nothing about anything, right? He couldn't explain tariffs to you. He couldn't explain Iranian policy to you. He couldn't explain, I think he couldn't explain anything to you. I think he's just, he's almost playing the part. He clearly has a death grip on this tariff thing, so please don't misunderstand me. I don't mean to say that he can't do certain things. He has the death grip on the late 50s, early 60s vision of the importance of coal energy and the view that alternative energy is some scam. I mean, he's sort of bought the Fox News Channel propaganda that he regurgitates and takes in and then continues to regurgitate in so many ways on so many days, right? We know that he essentially takes in that propaganda so regularly that he populates his own administration with those that he saw on there. I mean, look, that guy I watch all the time, I want to make him part of my administration. He's going to run the Pentagon. Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth? He can't run a kid's birthday party. He was thrown out of charities that he ran. Literally, the board of charities had to vote him out. He ran the charities into the side of a mountain. That guy's running the Pentagon, and then you see what happened. Just yesterday. Was it yesterday when they closed the airspace over El Paso, or the day before?
Day before
yesterday, closed the airspace over El Paso. It was a huge military F-up. That was Pete Hegseth. He's a walking F-up. These are incompetent, malevolent characters. I mean, the incompetence is so stark. What's that? I'm sorry, Kim. Go ahead. What?
I was just going to say, this is ridiculous. No, he is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is so ridiculous.
Thank you.
But again, you have Hegseth there because of he saw him on Fox News Channel. You have Jeanine Pirro. Where do you think he found Jeanine Pirro? In some legal directory? Guess again. Saw her on Fox News Channel.
Come on, Mark. If it's good enough for Fox, it's good enough for the rest of us. Okay?
Those who spoke in the most full-throated way in support of Trump, the real junkyard dogs, he wanted them on. They had to look good and sound good. And that's who populates his administration. And so you end up with these people who are completely unethical, totally loyal, it would seem, and utterly out for that which Trump declares he wants. And so it brings us to, I think, one of the gold medalists in the Olympics of completely selling out, and that is Tulsi Gabbard.
The Mark Thompson Show.
There is no sellout like Tulsi Gabbard's sellout. She's not qualified in any way for the work she's doing, running the intelligence agencies, what she's doing at the Fulton County election office with the raid on the election materials, everything from ballots to voting machines. It's outrageous. More to the point, she's someone who viewed Trump as a dangerous figure on the world stage, and now she's basically drinking his bathwater. It's disgusting that she is doing this work. But now she finds herself in a serious, serious intelligence breach. I want to make sure I get this straight, so I'm going to give you some pieces of this from the Wall Street Journal reporting. There is a complaint against Tulsi Gabbard, which centers now on Jared Kushner, and here's why. It was a whistleblower complaint. We reported on it here, but it didn't have the Kushner detail weeks ago when we first were talking about this. The allegation is that she withheld access to classified information for political reasons. And this information involving Kushner centers on Kushner's name that came up in a conversation between two foreign nationals. Now, of course, Kushner is Trump's son-in-law, has helped lead negotiations between this administration and Iran, quite instrumental in the first administration during which he had an official job in the White House. I'll remind you something about Jared Kushner, and this may not surprise you because there actually are others in the administration who fall into this category, but Donald Trump just takes care of it and just erases it, what I'm about to tell you. But that is, Kushner couldn't pass a background check. Kushner couldn't pass a background check, and the sons of Donald Trump couldn't pass a background check. In the first administration, we learned all of this quite publicly because it wasn't filled, the administration, with loyalists yet. Now, Trump just bigfooted and said, I wanted them in, and they got in. So access to top secret information, military information, etc. Even though these were viewed by the intelligence community, I should say, they were viewed, these people, as an intelligence risk. They couldn't pass the background check. And there are a lot of reasons, as you're aware, foreign connections, foreign business relationships, a lot of debt. These are all things that can lead to the conclusion that this person isn't deserving of the kind of clearance, security clearance that follows with the background check. Anyway, so now Kushner is not officially in the administration, yet he is all over everything like a bad smell. And he is handling the negotiations between Iran and this administration, along with a handful of others. So there was a phone conversation, and the whistleblower, aware of this phone conversation, suggests that Tulsi Gabbard took a paper copy of the report directly to Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, instead of allowing the National Security Agency agents to continue investigating it. Sidelined the investigation, brought it to the Oval Office. Of course, she's denying it. This is the statement. Every single action taken by DNI Gabbard was fully within her legal authority and statutory authority, and these politically motivated attempts to manipulate highly classified information undermine the essential national security work being done by great Americans in the intelligence community every day. It's such a gross kind of statement. It sort of falls into that classic, typical sort of category that this administration populates these statements with. National security, great Americans in the intelligence community. It's all the verbiage, like hit F7 on your computer and all this stuff comes out as more and more of these security-related whistleblower reports are buried. So I don't know that we'll ever know exactly what happened with this whistleblower complaint. It couldn't be determined which country, this is again from the Wall Street Journal, it couldn't be determined which country the foreign nationals are from or what they discussed about Kushner, but the connection to Kushner sheds further light on the top secret whistleblower complaint that bureaucratically stalled within Gabbard's agency for 8 months. It was kept locked in a safe until it reached Congress in heavily redacted form last week.
Does it smell cover up to you? I mean, it
No.
smells. Yeah. I mean, that's obvious, right?
It has a stench.
I'm not the only one. Yeah.
Of cover-up. Senior Trump administration officials said that the claims about Kushner were demonstrably false, but declined to offer more specifics about that conversation. And the allegations in the conversation about Kushner would be significant if verified, because according to other U.S. officials familiar with the contents, this was a high-level conversation. And again, this is from the Wall Street Journal. The complaint was based on a foreign intelligence conversation collected by the NSA. It included this discussion about Jared Kushner. And it was at least in part, according to, again, the Wall Street Journal report, it was at least in part related to issues related to Iran. Now, Kushner is at the center of some of the, toughest national security initiatives, and his whole plan to rebuild Gaza, and, he and Witkoff and Rubio in kind of the back seat of the car are trying to end the war in Ukraine. However, that's going to go down. So Kushner's a key player, and I'm not surprised that his name comes up. But their ongoing Iranian conversations with Iran in Oman, officials met with Witkoff at minimum, and perhaps Kushner. I know Witkoff was there.
Michael says this bypassed the DNI, this bypassed the Joint Chiefs of Staff, went straight to Susie Wiles. So all kinds of protocols broken here. That has a heavy cloud hanging right over it.
Kushner is serving as a volunteer in the administration. It's true. I think there is a heavy cloud. I also think that Kushner is reflective of something else that's going on in this administration, which is that people are so significantly compromised with money that their loyalties to the U.S. have to be questioned as well. And I think all the traditional lines of communication related to intelligence don't necessarily apply, because, again, information can get out in many ways. And I'll remind you of one other thing. Kushner, I don't mean to, just stating it straight. He served in the first Trump administration, and when he left the administration, what happened? He started a fund and got $2 billion in investment in that fund from the Saudis. People in Saudi Arabia who were concerned with investment of Saudi monies actually counseled Saudi leadership not to necessarily fund Kushner's fund, because they felt Kushner's business acumen hadn't really been demonstrated from an investment standpoint. He was a real estate guy. But MBS, who he had a very good relationship with, Mohammed bin Salman, he funded the Kushner effort to the tune of $2 billion. Now, why is that significant? I don't think I need to draw it out for you. He had a relationship that on some level wasn't just a friendly relationship. There is a quid pro quo almost explicitly spelled out there. I mean, you don't get $2 billion in investment in some fund unless there is some information or other conversation related to substantive information, governmental U.S. information changing hands. I believe that this administration is for sale. And information that is gained from one of the great intelligence agencies in the history of the world, the U.S. intelligence agencies, I think that information is for sale now under these guys. And we also know Trump likes to just get chirpy. He says, "Oh, guess what we got? We found out what the spies are," and what he'll start talking about it in a meeting. That happened, as you know, with the Russian ambassador. So the idea that you would compromise national security in some way, either out of loyalty or for money, I think that's all on the table. And now you see in Tulsi Gabbard the true rudderless way that she is conducting herself out of blind loyalty to a man, Donald Trump, without regard to the U.S. I think never really been a fan of Tulsi Gabbard. She's kind of been dining out on we shouldn't be regime building, we shouldn't be nation building. That was her whole rap, right? How do you feel about that now, Tulsi? When you have a chief executive who seems dedicated to regime building, dedicated to nation building. This story is big, this whistleblower story. I don't know that we're going to get too many more revelations, but I think Congress is digging in. Processes, protocols, and standards, says Sal the Shoemaker. Exactly.
We have processes and protocols and standards.
Making sure they line their pockets is their goal, says Milton Watkins, bookbinder. Yeah. It's a sign of the poisonous corruption that is very much a part of this administration. That's the latest on Tulsi and her latest breach. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Thank you for being here, all of you. That's a Wall Street Journal report. They've probably done some of the most significant reporting on it. I'm encouraged by something happening. It's not all bad news. This falls into this weird category of, I guess it's good news when something horrible that they were doing is stopping. And the horrible thing that is stopping is the Minnesota militarized ICE and border control presence. They've completely now decided to pull out everybody. So I think this is a clear legacy of the horror associated with the execution of 2 American citizens there on the streets of Minnesota. I also think it not necessarily relevant if they're American citizens or not. They're people who were not deserving of the kind of death sentence that was meted out on those streets. But anyway, because of protest and because of that situation that has blown up on them, and I would also add this, because it is wildly unpopular. The immigration policy at the border is popular, but the ICE presence in all of these cities and going to Home Depots and going to churches, pulling people out of cars, smashing windows, that ain't popular. It ain't playing on Main Street. And I think this administration is aware that they are losing the public on this issue. Republicans and Democrats, although obviously Republicans are more still in the falling in line category. But that Minnesota pullout is happening. And I think to the extent that you want good news, you've got it. I also think the Epstein scandal is weighing on them in a way that is undermining this administration's strength. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a lot to fear. And it doesn't mean that they're going to even modify their tactics. In fact, I'd suggest to you that oftentimes this administration, when they feel embattled or undermined in any way by public support, they double down. And I just think that yesterday's festival of coal, I mean, that I think is a classic example. You know, they are agenda driven and they'll follow that agenda even if it's in the face of headwinds politically when it comes to public support. So, all right. I want to get to Mo and Michael here in a second, but
The Mark Thompson Show.
Before I do, I want to give a shout out to all of you who have supported our sponsor, partner, Zellman's. I'm a Zellman's user. I take 3 before I go to bed at night to get out of the morning breath problem. Zellmans.com, Zelmins.com. Courtney also takes it at night. We don't have the morning breath issue. Use our code MARKT for 15% off at Zelmans.com. But in your mouth, it's the kind of fresh mint taste. So it's got a coating of mint. So you kind of wash that around your mouth, and it gives your mouth that fresh taste. And then you swallow these tiny capsules. That's what is at the center of Zellman's. And this is the technology. I mean, they did a lot of research on this. I told her they spent $200,000 on a...
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They spent $200,000 on a comprehensive testing. And this testing experiment actually proves out that it works, so that they can say that this is, it's whatever the official statement is, that, it's been shown officially. What am I trying to say? It's not a medical setting, but it's an experimental setting. They paid for this to be a comprehensive experiment. So anyway, you swallow the capsules, and then in your gut, parsley seed oil and other proprietary formula-related oils there in your stomach fight odors that can cause bad breath. They neutralize, essentially, all that stuff that comes up. So no artificial sweeteners, no xylitol, no preservatives, tiny capsules, huge results. Zellmans.com, Zelmins.com. Use the code MARKT for 15% off. Zellmans.com. Clinically proven. Thank you.
I've told you it's never easy being in this business.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Somebody help me there. Clinically proven. Thank you. It's clinically proven. Right. Lama Kumeka had it.
This is so ridiculous.
It is. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Lakumeka, what time can you be here on Monday to help me? Because I clearly, we've got a whole thing about how Trump is addled by dementia. My stuff's going to be kicking in soon too, man. I thought of Mo Kelly. I'll tell you why I thought of Mo Kelly in the last couple of days, because Mo Kelly is so goddamn good, first of all. I love his takes on stuff. But I also was booking this guy who is going to be talking about Trump's dementia and other physical infirmities. And this is something that Mo comes back around to on things as well. The fact that his father, I guess, had endured some of the same physical infirmities that he's now seeing in Trump. And so as he follows Trump, he's sort of seeing the same kind of physical demise that seems inevitable. But, I mean, that's my summary of what he has to say. But now, without any further delay, bring him on. He is the brilliant Mo Kelly. How are you, sir?
Doing well. That was accurate, Mark. When I see Donald Trump, the man, not having to do with the president or any type of my feelings about the man, I see a lot of similarities, the swelling of the ankles, the difficulty to walk, much less in a straight line, at times the incoherent thoughts. Now, they weren't as racist in nature, if you want to compare them.
From your dad? You weren't as racist?
No. But there was a similarity as far as an inability to focus and stream of consciousness, and sometimes saying things which were inappropriate. Right. It rang very familiar. So, and I try to be very clear with people. I do not wish death on anyone. Donald Trump, like or loathe him, is still someone's father, still someone's husband, still someone's family member. And as we talk about the lack of humanity in this country right now, we should be sure not to lose our own humanity in our discussions of Donald Trump. Now, am I going to shed a tear if and when he passes? Definitely not. But I am not in any way going to root for his demise. And this country is going to keep on after he's gone, and the world is going to keep on spinning. But I do have a say in how I react and how I respond and how I talk about the things that I dislike deeply about Donald Trump, the man.
Yeah. Then I remembered that you'd made that point about the similarities and parallels you saw with your own father. Let me bring this other guy on, a guy who's forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know. Michael Shure is our Friday visitor as well. So now I've got both of you guys. I wanted to get to first the super cut that we put together with Pam Bondi. It happened, we kind of look back at the week with you two. I'll get to the coal. I'll get to, undercutting the Green New Deal, and, he's sort of gone after that. And some of the other stuff that's happened this week. But I wanted to give you a little taste of and remind you of the combative nature of Pam Bondi, sort of understates it in the extreme. Go ahead, Albert, if you will. Here's a bit of some of the stuff. Most people have familiarized themselves with it, but here's a flashback to Pam Bondi.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer
theatrics
the
are
question the way I
ridiculous.
asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many have you indicted?
Again, the time belongs to
Reclaiming my time.
The time belongs.
I think it's very interesting.
Reclaiming my time.
I think it's very interesting.
And you can
When
reclaim
he
your
talks
time.
about they
Reclaiming my time,
indicted,
Mr.
the
Chairman.
president said they indicted him twice.
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock and stop the clock and restore his time.
Okay, here we go with these
Committee will be in order.
theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentleman from New York. We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when you ask a question, the witness gets to answer. You may not like the answer, but she gets to answer.
The question was, how many of Epstein's...
They don't like the answer, Chairman,
my time.
because it's honest. So he asked a 4-minute question.
Restore 45
and
seconds,
I am
Mr. Nadler,
going
please,
to
Mr. Chairman.
Answer.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch. Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
Time, and I should get back at least 45 seconds.
We will give you a few more seconds. I said that already.
45 seconds.
Okay, I'm timing right now, Mr. Nadler.
All right. My time. The answer to my question, how many of Epstein's co-conspirators has she indicted, is 0.
You are acutely aware of how important it is to protect the identity of victims of sexual assault, correct?
Zach Johnson.
I have addressed this multiple times. I think others were cutting me off when I was trying to.
Well, I just simply asked, are you aware of the fact that it's vitally important to protect the identity of sexual assault victims as you prosecute their the people they accuse of assaulting them? Isn't that correct?
Excuse me. As we have said multiple times,
Protection of the identity
of all victims
of the victims
are
is
protected.
so very
You are
important.
protected under. Do you want me to answer or do you want to interrupt?
Well, because you're not answering the question. You do a Jekyll and Hyde kind of routine around here, and I just want you to answer my questions.
What does Jekyll and Hyde mean? Can you explain
it means
that?
you're nice to the
Explain
Republicans and you turn like Hyde on Democrats.
I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm reclaiming my time.
be
I got
released.
your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please
I'd like
stop
to
the clock.
reclaim my
Please
time.
stop the clock.
The legislation. This is
Time.
this is
like to
ridiculous.
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop a limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we say here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right
Ted
after.
Lieu finishing up. And this continues, and I know you guys have seen this stuff over and over, but there are basic aspects of oversight that are being played out here. Give me a little of the Nagoose back and forth, because this is sort of I thought these are questions that didn't just pertain to Epstein. They pertain to sort of the way she's running the agency. They're basic oversight type questions. Here's a little bit, and then we'll catch you on the other side here and we'll talk about it.
Law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you, end quote. I want to show you just a brief video. It's about 30 seconds, and I'll ask you a couple questions about it.
So then they show the video of the January 6th rioters, and one in particular who's speaking nastily toward police. That's understandable.
The sad thing is they're not even going to get their pension because it's going to be worthless. And shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
This is after going after the cops there on January 6th.
Attorney General Bondi, that man works for you now, right?
Who was that, Congressman?
The man in that video, the one who was in the police-worn body cam footage, the one allegedly yelling, "Kill him," at police officers on January 6th, his name is Jared Wise.
He does work for us.
He works for you at the Department of Justice.
He does.
This is an individual whom a federal grand jury indicted for 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors related to his participation in the attack on January 6th. One of those charges was forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, and interfering with police with the intent to commit another felony. This is who you choose as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America to hire at the Department of Justice. Someone on video yelling, "Kill him," at police officers, right?
I believe he was pardoned by President Trump.
Oh, he was pardoned. You're right. You're right. Pardoned by President Trump for his offense. Pardoned for yelling, "Kill him," at police officers. And yet you expect hardworking police officers across the country to believe that you take law enforcement seriously. You could imagine the reaction of so many folks across the country hearing the chief law enforcement officer of the United States refuse to even condemn what that individual whom you've now hired did. But in any event,
he goes on, and then he goes on to talk about the fact that she's gutted the crypto regulation structure that is at the Justice Department. He goes on. I thought it was really great because he visited a number of different things related to oversight. All right, Pam Bondi, that entire oversight hearing, thoughts on how it went down, maybe the damage perhaps to her, or did it play so well with the only guy she cares about, Donald Trump, that it was a W for her? How about you, Michael?
Did you not see where the Dow is, Mark? It's above 50,000. I mean, so who does this play well for? I don't know that it plays well for the United States. I think when you see the way that this attorney general behaved in front of always a partisan, it's always partisan there, but it was less partisan than it often is because Thomas Massie was echoing the sentiments of most of his Democratic colleagues on that committee. When you see this play out, it's not good for the administration. If Donald Trump liked the pugilism of his attorney general, the prepared jokes and one-liners that didn't all go off very well, then that's one thing. But in terms of the way America is digesting this and seeing the women behind her and seeing the way that she was not answering, deflecting, personalizing, I don't think that's a victory for any administration. And I think also, I mean, the last exchange with Nagoose, you knew that she was going to say he was pardoned by Donald Trump, and you knew that Nagoose was ready to say, oh, he was pardoned. Well, ... You still chose to hire him. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good in an enduring way. The pardon was not a popular move by the president in terms of the general public. And I think as you get into congressional elections this year, these are not the sort of things, and I'm not going to say that there are many people that are going to walk into the booth and think about this hearing that happened 7 months or 8 or 9 months before they vote. But there's a cumulative effect that's happening right now on independent voters, some Republicans, and virtually all Democrats that are going to make it very difficult for members of Congress running for re-election to get elected.
Mo?
I'm old enough to remember when America was decent, had dignity, and espoused decorum. And this is just the latest example of indecency, undignified behavior, and lacking decorum. I'm old enough to remember when there was a partition between the Justice Department and the executive branch, if only because of Richard Nixon. And we knew that the Justice Department had the responsibility, if need be, of investigating the executive branch. I mean, could you imagine America settling for that behavior from Eric Holder or Alberto Gonzalez or Loretta Lynch? Remember the actual scandal when Loretta Lynch met with Bill Clinton on the tarmac, and it threw into question the legitimacy of the Clinton investigation at that time.
She had to recuse herself. Yeah.
Absolutely. We are not that country anymore. And it's hard for me to wrap my mind around this. We had an attorney general who was openly celebrating and politicking for the sitting president. And we're supposed to believe that this Justice Department would actually prosecute or indict individuals connected to the Trump administration? Absolutely not.
Does Bondi take any hits from this? It seems as though she's endured public ridicule, but as I say, I think it played well at the White House. Just give me, as this administration begins to take on a little water politically, and I want to ask you about how much water you think they are taking on. Maybe you don't think they're taking on any. But Bondi's popularity was already ebbing. She was, with the White House, not as popular, it was rumored, because she wasn't enough of an attack dog for Donald Trump. This seems to, maybe fly in the face of that, although she was very inelegant in her responses. It was just sort of a mess. But does Bondi, at the end of all of this, have any exposure, Michael, or do you think she's in pretty good shape still?
It's hard to say. I mean, does Kristi Noem, does Kash Patel, does Pam Bondi? I think as the year goes forward and polling indicates that people aren't happy, if that's the case, then that's when people start to take the fall. That's when people start to maybe even step away. But that's when Susie Wiles goes to the president and says, we've got to make some changes here. We have to show that we're not satisfied with X, Y, or Z. And it might take an indictment that happens. It may take that, in Kristi Noem's case, that ICE overextended into extrajudicial territory that we all know they have, but for the actual courts and for the Justice Department to realize that and say that. So there are, I don't think one day in front of the Congress does anything. Look, we're talking about it a few days after. People will talk about it over the weekend. It will go on for a little while. To Pam Bondi, it was one day. To these members of Congress, they've all gone back to their district. So it's not like that's lingering constantly. And Donald Trump is certainly not thinking about that at this very moment. So I think that there is a point, though, when some of these people will have to be reckoned with. And that happens in every administration, to be frank. But I think it's extreme in this administration. I think it's going to have political fallout. And Donald Trump, when there's political fallout, tends to respond to that.
The question I was sort of positing in general, Mo, which is the question about popularity of policy and the stink of some of these policies. Minnesota, I think, is one of the situations that's gotten out of hand for them. They're pulling back now to the point that they're removing ICE and Border Patrol troops from Minneapolis. Can you speak to whether or not this administration is taking on any water politically? They seem to be polling pretty poorly, and I'm wondering if we can draw anything from this.
I want to take a slightly different approach to this, and I want to borrow from Michael Shure. He used the word cumulative, and I think it applies here. The cumulative effect is a net negative for the administration. I don't think Pam Bondi did herself any favors. I don't think Minneapolis did the administration any favors when you talk about big picture. And there's something else to consider. They keep losing. Pam Bondi can't get the indictment when it comes to the 6 Democrats, as far as the don't follow illegal orders scandal, quote unquote. They can't secure any convictions when it comes to James Comey and also Tish James. They're losing again and again. And then when they're leaving Minnesota, getting back to your question, and having to leave with their tail between their legs, it suggests that the policies which were originally popular are not effective even for the Trump administration. And then when the news comes out, it's averaging about $1 million per detainee or deportation. You can't effectively point to anything which says to the American people that either the administration is effective in its policy objectives, or that they're even pleasing Republican media. When I'm watching Fox News, yes, I do watch it from time to time, and there is criticism of not only Pam Bondi, but also what is happening in Minnesota. It says to me that this is not landing with even those on the right in the way that they originally hoped.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's a great summary. I think this is beginning to be a policy that has so much trouble associated with it. It's clearly so complicated and it affects so many different communities. I mean, rural communities are affected, the urban communities are destabilized, that there's a lot more here. I want to ask you about something that just happened, and being a tree hugger as I am, but I don't think you need to be a tree hugger to be mournful today because of this new Trump policy essentially erasing the tepid protections there were for the environment, and the embracing, as this administration has now done, and the underpinning of and supporting of dirty energy that they've done with American taxpayer money. And they talk about the breaks that, these alternative energy programs get. Now the idea that you're going to be, giving these coal companies and various dirty energy efforts on the part of coal companies and this entire industry, which should be closing down, new life. It's despicable. Play a little bit of Trump embracing coal.
Dependable and really dependable form of energy that we have, and that's clean, beautiful coal. Biden and the radical left wanted to abolish coal. They did everything they could, everything possible. But on day one of this administration, I ended the war on coal. We terminated the Green New Scam, and we withdrew from the unfair, one-sided Paris Climate Accord. That was another beauty we had. We paid $1 trillion. Nobody else had to pay 10 cents. Already I've saved
That's not true.
74 coal power plants from crushing restrictions and closures that would have been forced to shut down in the very immediate future. And today I'm proud to announce that the Tennessee Valley Authority is taking action to save 2 major coal plants in Tennessee. Tennessee Valley Authority. The plants are the Cumberland Fossil Plant and the Cumberland City. It's in Cumberland City. It's a big, beautiful thing that they just wanted to shut down. The Tennessee Valley Authority has gone in a very stupid, very bad direction. The head of it, it's considered sort of semi-private. It's supposed to be semi-public, but it's semi-private. It's the highest paid government type official in history. I think they pay them $10 million a year. They're paying them $10 million. I think the Speaker of the House wants to resign and head the Tennessee Valley Authority. And he could do a much better job, I can tell you that. Is that right, Doug? They pay him $10 million a year. Can you believe it? Well, Trump is on the scene now. We're going to make his life miserable. $10 million. I wonder what he got before he got that job. Probably making $150,000, right? And the Kingston.
All right. Let's stop right there. The idea somehow that there's corruption at the TVA, that's sort of unrelated to all of this. I'm more concerned with the fact that you're taking this industry, which was going away. It was going away because the free market isn't there to support it. And basic, as I suggest, tepid pollution regulations were such that the coal industry just couldn't survive. And so now you're supercharging this dirty energy. And then he brags about pulling us out of the Paris Climate Accord. It's the whole thing makes my skin crawl. Speak to this, Michael, please.
Well, first of all, I speak to it from someone who follows elections pretty closely, and I don't, very objectively speaking, whether I, and we know that I agree with the Paris Accord, and I think this is almost criminal what they're doing to our country and our environment and our kids, et cetera, without getting hokey about it. But the point is, I think it is surprisingly short-sighted politically. And I say surprisingly because generally speaking, this White House they've gotten elected twice. They kind of know what they're doing in politics a lot of the time, certainly in electoral politics and setting themselves up. But what I'm seeing right now is they're trying to burnish their bona fides with their base when that's not where they need to go. And I think they're certainly alienating people with this, maybe alienating people who are already off of their brand, never were on it. But I do think it's really poor politics here to go after shoring up your base in places like Tennessee, like West Virginia, like Kentucky. That's not necessarily where this party needs to be spending their time, money, attention, and political capital. They need to go into places where this is an unpopular thing and try and find other popular things to run on. So from a purely political standpoint, I find it curious. I don't find it at all curious that this president is doing it. He talked about it in his first term. He talked about it when he was running for president the first and second and third time. This is something that he likes doing, but he's also arcane in going after Joe Biden and the liberal Democrats, because most liberals do not consider Joe Biden part of their group, or with progressives. I'm not quite sure what the president said just now, but going after old ghosts behind him is not where Donald Trump is also most politically expedient. And I think it's showing a political deficiency that is surprising, and I think should be worrying for the party as a whole going into November. Probably not the take you thought you were going to get, but I think that's what this was about for me, more than how I rate it makes me the substance of what he's doing.
No, also, I think it's fascinating. The political side is something you're right. I hadn't even considered it, and I'm all, yeah.
Just that when something is semi-private, it is also implicitly semi-public.
Well, of course, he went through. He's ad-libbing there. You saw a little bit. I think of like he's dementia adjacent. He struggles with the reading. He is trying to ad-lib, and so that he does. That was his little, right? He's riffing there, right? Semi-private. I can call it semi-public.
He does
it should
do
be
that, right? He makes things up as he goes along, and it sounds good to him as he's saying it. But I just thought it was funny. Oh, it's supposed to be semi-public, but it's semi-private.
No, he's just he's playing the part as best he can. Still see the cue cards. Also going after the Green New Deal. I guess maybe he felt that there was some political capital there, Mo. I think the last thing I'll just say is that, and he wasn't mentioned in this particular cut, but he has mandated the Pentagon and the military to use coal energy to fuel a lot of their various programs and efforts, however it is apportioned. And it's even a greater affront, I think. But please, go ahead.
There's a theme, there's a through line in all of this. You say he's like dementia adjacent, and one of the common symptoms of dementia or cognitive impairment is time shifting, and he is stuck in like 1972. I'm old enough, once again, to remember the OPEC crisis. What he was talking about there would have been perfect if he were running against Richard Nixon, who was going to eventually start the EPA. That would have been fine in 1972, talking about the expansion of coal. Not in 2026. There's one thing which is, it's ironic because everything that he is talking about is looking backward. And even in Making America Great Again, it's looking backward. And we have a society which is perpetually moving forward. He has no vision of the future, with the exception of crypto. That's about the only thing that I'll concede is at least looking forward is for self-enrichment, but it is still largely looking backward. And I think that is partially connected to his cognitive issues where he cannot even conceive of a world in the 21st century, and is also connected to his inability to understand the world that he's presently in. We cannot actually have ships that are running on coal or steam. We can't go back to mining. I mean, it's ridiculous on its face. And Michael makes a great point where he is talking only to the like-minded. If you're talking about coal and your manufacturing in West Virginia and everything, he already has those people. He already has those votes. He's not developing anyone who's actually going to save him in the midterms. And if he's thinking that if he only holds on to Republicans for the midterms, that will save him, he is, well, once again, he's deluded.
It's interesting that you talk about the midterms, both of you, and the politics of it all. I wonder if you can just, again, flash me back to the Fulton County raid and the takeover of all of that under the guise of, under the guise of investigation into the 2020 election, which in itself was ridiculous because it had been over-investigated twice, manual counts, et cetera. But as you look at the increasing specter of them messing around in some way on the from this regime on the issue of the midterms and elections generally, I just wonder at what point you feel an alarm going off. I mean, Michael, I always feel like you're the, I go nuts and you kind of chill me out. I mean, so chill me out on this.
Well, I can chill you out on this. Personally, I think that the people who are saying, "Oh, this is all about the midterms. This is sowing seeds of doubt. This is," maybe there's a little bit of that, right? Maybe there's some scare tactics in here to state election boards, but this is still Donald Trump's world in that realm, and in the fact is that Donald Trump still thinks he was robbed in 2020. There's still a part of him that thinks that he wants to be the only person elected 3 times since Roosevelt. I think that it is so driven by retribution. Everything that he does is driven by retribution and loyalty, right? So what Mo was talking about just now with the coal miners and everything, that's loyalty too, right? That's dancing with the ones who brung you, even though it may not have political payoff in the future. But I think that, a lot of people are saying, oh, we should all be scared about election. We always should be scared about elections. We should always make sure that our elections are fair and safe. And we've done an unbelievable job of doing that, right? I mean, election fraud is tiny. It's grains of sand on a beach. And I think that's what people are getting all excited about now is, oh, they're going to do it again. They always do it, right? This is no different. I think Donald Trump in Atlanta and Fulton County was all about Donald Trump.
And you, Mo, how concerned are you?
I'm concerned because I believe that we got Donald Trump not once or twice due to, in part, a failure of imagination, an underestimation of his appeal and how his message may resonate with certain swaths of the country. And a failure of imagination to think that he would not go so far as to do X, or he would not dare do Y, or push the boundaries of the Constitution. He wouldn't dare, foment an insurrection. That's what I mean by a failure of imagination. And I would caution the Democrats against believing that he's not capable of the unbelievable or seeming impossible. Since he does aspire in many ways to be a dictator, then for me, then everything is on the table. The use of the military to enforce his goals. We see that with ICE, the commandeering of ballots, the intimidation at voting centers, all of that will come into play. And if we don't foresee the possibility, then we collectively would be unprepared for the eventual reality if and when it happens.
Yeah, I want to agree with what Mo's saying. I totally agree. And it's vitally important. I also think it's worked, right? For the most part, it works when we do that. And we have a good record of doing that. The motivation for Fulton County, though, I think that you also have to look at just the ego of this man. And that is a big part of why they went back to Fulton County. I don't think that is connected necessarily to the other. And Joe Biden won the nomination fairly. He lost the election fairly. He all of those things because of the kind of the kind of guardrails we have on elections.
I wanted to play you something. I'm running so late. Okay, this is just unbelievable. This guy, Jeremy Carl, he's a nominee for the State Department post. He's this white nationalist who's made all these weird is, I don't even know if it's a really relevant way to classify it. I mean, he's made these loathsome comments. But here's a little bit. He's a white nationalist, so he's made a lot of comments about blacks. He's made comments about Jews. Here he is lit up for a minute and just speaks to the, again, these appointments that Trump makes, and that's administration and regime is just full of guys like this. Go ahead.
And white identity and what you think is being erased about white identity?
Senator, it would have, thank you again for the question, and genuinely thank you for finally letting me have a chance to explain some of my comments a little bit. But I would say that, they could be things like going to a certain type of Christian church and that sort of culture, which is very different. I mean, you can all be Christians, right, in a certain environment, but African-American Christians might worship differently than Chinese Christians that might worship differently than white Christians. Of course, sometimes you have multi-ethnic churches, but things like that, certain types of Anglo-derived culture that comes from our history.
Like what?
Let me think about this. Senator, I would say if you were to look at the book by one of your former Senate colleagues, Born Fighting, about the sort of Scotch-Irish military culture and certain, pride that went with that, that would be one example. Obviously, you can have sub-elements of that culture. You could have Italians, you could have Irish, and those are in many ways more.
But you're worried about white culture. You're not worried about, you're now retreating to ethnic identity. You don't speak about ethnic identity. You speak about white identity. So tell me the values that stitch together white identity and that make it different than black identity.
Senator, again, thank you for
spent a lot of time talking about this and writing about this.
Yeah, no.
You're struggling with this, but you should be fairly easily, I would assume, able to tell us your thoughts on how white identity is different than other kinds of identity and how it's being erased.
Senator, again, thank you for the question. I'm just trying to be I'm just trying to be very precise. Because I'm here in front of a Senate committee, I would say that the white church is very different than the black church in terms of its tone and style on average. Foodways could often be different.
And those
music could be different.
And those are being erased.
Music could be different. Well, if you look at the Super Bowl halftime show, which was not in English this year.
So our ability to access white churches or white food or white music is being erased?
Senator, again, thank you for the question. What I would say is the biggest thing, because actually, contrary to many of the comments that have been shown, racial nationalists have been very, very critical of my work because they correctly say that I'm actually, of course, not a racial nationalist, which I'm not. I'm a civic nationalist. I am concerned with the majority common American culture that we had for some time that through particularly mass immigration, I think has become much more balkanized. And I think that weakens us. And again, I'm not running away from that comment. I'm not apologizing for it.
I'm way over my time.
Again, this goes on, and honestly, it reminds me of these morons in college that used to try. This absolutely so reminds me of different college conversations I had like this, where you're dealing with these absolute idiots.
This is so ridiculous.
Yeah, thank you. But Mo, it's again, they tee these guys up. This guy's he's legit. A guy who's filled with that kind of prejudice and bigotry. He's a legit nominee to occupy a State Department post. He's going to be dealing with all these different ethnicities and all of these different people worldwide.
Let me step out of my professional accoutrement for a moment. African-American man. I worshiped in a Lutheran church growing up, and then a fully black AME, African Methodist Episcopal church. So I can speak to this as a Christian. I grew up in I would say basically segregated Torrance, California. It was a sundown town. So I understand this idea of white culture. When you want to blame, and he blamed immigrants for the diminution of white culture, it's not taking into account American history. He talked about the Super Bowl and how it was in Spanish and not English. Puerto Rico did not ask to be a part of the American empire. And the expansion of America, inclusive of like Hawaii and Alaska, has included cultures and traditions which were never Anglo. And then the expectation that they are supposed to endorse and espouse Anglo culture coming from Europe is a lie and a misdirection. As far as Christianity is concerned, the worship tradition is different because African Americans were not even allowed to congregate during the time of slavery, with the exception of Christian discipleship and worship. That's part of the reason why the civil rights movement came out of the Black church. You have people like C.T. Vivian and Martin Luther King and even Malcolm X as far as the Nation of Islam. I'm bouncing around, but the point is, when you talk about America, you have to talk about the fullness of how we came to be, which is inclusive of the empire and domination of cultures, including Native Americans, Inuit, and also Polynesian cultures and Puerto Rican cultures, which you're then trying to force them into this Anglo matrix, which is never going to happen. It's not immigration. It's called hegemony.
Michael, this guy, and I've already seen GOP even is not going to vote to get this guy through.
No,
Certain
and
GOP senators.
Yeah, and I actually I read Jim Webb's book. He said your former colleague. He was talking about Jim Webb. That book, Born Fighting, came out I don't know, in the early 2000s, I think. And he cites the book, but he's wrong about it. I mean, Jim Webb talks about how the Scots-Irish heritage that he had and that so many Americans have that kind of explain the rise of conservatism in the country, and why George Bush won and that sort of thing. He said because people of Scots-Irish heritage have always been fighters, and they look at it from a bottom-up rather than a top-down kind of way. If I remember the book, it's been a long time, but it was about the fighting spirit. And this guy is saying the opposite, right? He's saying push out the bottom and let's only elevate the top, the people that are in the majority here for the next few moments, right? Let's make sure we don't have a Spanish song at halftime in a country that doesn't have an official language. All of this that had nothing to do with the book that Jim Webb wrote, by the way. It had nothing at all to do with the book that he wrote. And so that to me was ironic. And yeah, I mean, what Mo says.
Well, I saw a guy in that moment who was drowning rhetorically and just throwing stuff up, realizing, perhaps what we all realized, that his hateful outlook was only being amplified in this moment. And
there's a...
He had the flop sweat was going, I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh, you caught me. Right.
Yeah, right. Oh, you caught me. Exactly. Better put. Guys, thank you. Thank you for staying a little overtime with me. Mo, appreciate you. Michael, appreciate you as well. And I look forward to next week. Have a great weekend, guys. Thank you. Michael Shure and Mo Kelly. Right on.
Hey, which one do you use? Mark Thompson?
Use Mark Thompson.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Still have the Culture Blaster, Michael Snyder on deck. Still have Florida on deck. We'll get to both. Want to mention our wonderful partners at Coachella Valley Coffee. Come on. I am so wired up. You have no idea. I am just, the coffee and tea experience at Coachella Valley Coffee, unrivaled. You can experience it. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. When you check out, use our code MARKT. You'll get 10% off. It is the best coffee I've ever tasted. And I have had coffee, as you might imagine, in all of the finest restaurants, in all of the smallest roasteries across Latin America, across the Middle East, across Asia. I've dined with kings and princes, and I've never had coffee as delicious as this. And you should go to the website and check out the bean that's right for you. They have hand roasted. It's some boutique roastery, so this is not discount beans. These are high-end coffees curated from all around the world. They have some new stuff too. They have a lot of. They're always refreshing. That is our Why Are You Yelling decaf from Peru. You could grab it.
Why are you yelling?
And make it a part of your routine. That way you can drink a little bit more. I try to sort of integrate the decaf into my regular just to look at that. 5 stars. Mark Thompson is right. Coachella Valley coffee is the best coffee, says this commenter. I love it.
They weren't even trying to butter you up. And
No,
still,
it wasn't even written to me. It was. It's there on their website. Yeah, that's really cool when you share your thoughts on their website and their feedback they post there, which is really cool. All organic, ethically sourced from women-owned farms. Great coffee is our mission, they say, our craft and our passion. Tea, coffee, spices, CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Do get the 10% discount, Mark T, at checkout. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com.
Put that coffee down.
All right.
I think I got a mention on that website too under the vanilla tea.
What?
I know. I'm really proud of that.
You should be proud.
This is so ridiculous.
You talk about the vanilla tea.
I do.
And the Moroccan tea you also speak
Moroccan
of, I know,
mint
quite frequently. You
and
rock the
mango.
Moroccan. Yeah. Well, I know what you're saying. There can't be more show. You've done so much. You'd be right. We've done a lot. There's even a lot that we will be doing on Monday and Tuesday of this coming week. I'm just looking ahead. And I've got a major conversation around Donald Trump's physical and mental health coming up next week. Meanwhile, we still have work to do when it comes to Florida. Once a week, we like to feature news from a state that always serves up the unusual, sometimes the crazy, sometimes the I'm just losing it here. I'm stalling so I can find it. Sometimes the offbeat, and sometimes the truly incredible. And we call it Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
Florida man riding an e-bike is arrested for DUI.
What?
He refused sobriety tests, according to cops. Happened in Winter Springs, Florida. Driver under the influence charges being leveled against this guy.
Oh.
He fell off his bike and refused the sobriety test.
I'm going to go 7.5, I think.
He is a kind of cute guy, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
minus
Kyle
the,
Blanton. This isn't like the best publicity shot for him. It's his booking photo.
he's got some drunk, hazy eyes going on there.
Yeah, well, he was unsteady on his bike.
Yeah.
You like unsteady guys occasionally, Kim. You kind of have expressed a kind of a way in which you spark to the, you know, kind of unpredictable, unsteady. Anyway, he was unsteady on his bike, and officers asked if he wanted medical attention. He declined. He had a small cut to his pinky and ring finger, according to cops.
No.
Both injuries were later cleared medically. An officer said that he saw him, quote, wipe out. The officer said she smelled something and that Blanton had slurred speech and a strong alcohol smell. Chris, that's not really appropriate.
This is so ridiculous.
The man said he wasn't intoxicated. He said, I don't want a sobriety test. Shove it.
Oh.
When he declined the sobriety test, he was arrested.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
And indeed, Kyle Blanton, 34, was taken into custody. And he finds himself in Friday Fabulous Florida. A pregnant woman rescued from a sinking car gives birth to a healthy baby on her birthday. This happened in Martin County, Florida, and I know you're saying, well, where's the weird isn't it always, no, we tell you the odd stuff that happens. It's not always a bad ending. Sometimes it's a positive ending. Look at her there, happy as she is.
Mm-hmm.
A mother and baby are safe, healing after a terrifying crash. Could have taken both their lives. This was one of 2 crashes into waterways recently in Martin County. Shedley Apollon of Port St. Lucie and her newborn daughter recovering after a miraculous rescue. Her car plunged into a pond near the 112-mile marker on I-95 in Martin County. Crash happened on her birthday, the same day she gave birth, a day she'll never forget. She and her fiancé spoke with the television reporter, reliving the whole thing. She said he booked me a prenatal massage just to take some alone time before the baby got there. At 34 weeks pregnant, she began feeling dizzy. She pulled over when she underwent a medical emergency, got back on the road, wasn't feeling any better, tried to pull over again, and went over into the lake. Started to feel some water on her feet, and she started to panic, she says. As her car sank, another driver, Logan Hayes, who was running errands, instinctively dove into the water. This reminds me of when Kim rescued her son from the water.
Yeah, this was much more heroic.
But you did it on instinct also. You didn't think about it.
Yeah,
well,
but this
initially you didn't want to get your
stranger.
dress right, as I recall. But
This
the
is
point
a
is,
stranger. He rushes into this pond as this car is sinking and tilting. And
Yeah.
this pregnant lady, I mean, this is amazing what he does.
it is true.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. He grabbed her. He said, when I grabbed her, I knew immediately. I was like, oh my God, this lady is pregnant. First responders rushed to this area. Doctors, once they got her into the emergency room, performed an emergency C-section. Getting someone to jump in and open the door in the beginning, that made the whole difference, said the doctor, who was chief of trauma medicine there at Florida Lawnwood Hospital.
We've got
Just
going
hours
here
later,
is a situation.
3 pounds and 14 ounces, Ivory Adara Sully came into the world, and congratulations. My goodness, isn't that terrific?
The
That is
hero
a-
in this story says he tried 3 of the doors first and they wouldn't open. And as the car was actually tilting and going down further into the water, and the only door that would open was the rear passenger. And so this pregnant lady had to climb out through the back seat. Incredible story.
Ole Hansen notes this: when they pulled the car up, there was a parking ticket on the windscreen. What is that?
What?
Really?
You
I
can't
hope
park
that's-
there. You can't park there. In the
In a pickleball dispute, there ended up a brawl. Yeah, and felony battery has been charged. A dispute about the rules of pickleball. You know, pickleball is a big sport now, right? I don't need to tell you that. We've done stories about how, you know, the noise is becoming an HOA issue and all this sort of thing. Anyway, this dispute over a rule led to a brawl during a pickleball game at a Central Florida country club. One player hit his opponent in the face with a paddle, punching him on the ground before others got involved. And this is the amazing thing: 63 years old was the guy who initiated all of this. I always feel like people in their 60s, you know, they usually get past all the hate. I guess not. 2 counts of felony battery on a person 65 or older. Got to punch down when you're 63. Also,
What was the problem here?
his 51-year-old wife, who joined the fight in Port Orange, was charged with a single count of felony battery on a person 65 or older. So, you know, the younger people beating up on the older person. The two were playing another married couple. They began arguing about shots made in what is known as the kitchen, a marked area on either side of the net. By rule, players can only take a shot in the area once the ball is landed there. Otherwise, they have to avoid the kitchen. The players exchanged insults. At the end of the match, the man insulted the male opponent's wife, and then it was on like Donkey Kong. The men exchanged words, and the 63-year-old man attacked his opponent, who again was 65. The brawl turned into a big deal, Kim. 20 people were involved in the brawl, apparently.
What the hell is going on in the United States of America?
It was a real good old brawl there at the
Brawl
country
on the
club.
pickleball court. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
A lot of Florida stuff that was a little different. Those are the two pickleball. You see them there. We can rate them separately on she's the younger gal in her 50s. He's a 63-year-old there on the left. I don't know.
They look
A
very
5 and a
strong.
5, says Jano. Oh,
Don't they look very substantial and muscular and solid?
they do. I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
be in a smackdown with them. I think they could probably take me.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to pick a favorite. We don't like to, but it's in the bylaws of Friday Fabulous Florida that we must. So, Florida man riding his e-bike. He was unstable, the way Kim likes her men. Arrested for DUI, though, after refusing sobriety tests. Then the couple charged with felony battery after that pickleball brawl at the Florida Country Club. Oof. And we gave you a taste of sweet heroism today in Friday Fabulous Florida. The Florida man jumping into the water, saving a pregnant woman from drowning hours before the baby's birth. Again, a favorite. I ask you, Kim.
I wanted to go uplifting, but I'm going to have to agree with Amy. Pickle brawl.
Pickleball brawl is pretty
Yeah.
strong. Yeah, I agree. Pickleball gang fight. Albert, what it seems to be the favorite among the kids?
It's a good mix of all three, and I like the little details in all of them. The details in this one, they've kind of buried. There's 20 people involved in that brawl, which
I know.
is
That's
amazing.
pretty strong. There was a real argument.
I do like the e-bike guy. It's just a ridiculous Florida story.
Yeah, the fact that you would even pull over an e-bike guy is sort of yeah, you're right.
You have to be really drunk to be caught like visibly like on a scooter and get like pulled over. So
Yeah, I would say one thing. It really, I like the negative and the cynical and the, I like something's too sweet. It almost needs a little edge. But today I was really, it washed over me. The beautiful story of heroism and that lady who was rescued from the car. I mean, I felt like Kim for a moment, like my heart, like the Grinch. It grew 4 times bigger than a normal heart.
I'd
Yeah.
never have told you that story.
It was really quite special. So, yeah, the story of rescue is the one that captured me today. That is Friday Fabulous Florida.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
This is so ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. I am very taken by everything today. Thank you, everyone who's been part of the show.
And now,
all the
your
ways you
comments.
have. I am going to discharge a couple of comments now, and then I'll bring on the Culture Blaster. I'm going to test my diabetes and try Sweet 106, says Kelvin. Yeah, you have to pace yourself, but it's great. You can take a couple of scoops of. It's perfect for that. They have the container with the 3.5 cupcake, and that's a layered cupcake thing. And as Albert says, it's just the right amount of cake and frosting. Anyway, you take a couple of scoops, you put it back in the fridge. Take a couple of scoops, put it back in the fridge. Very much. That's again, but use our discount code. You'll get 15% off. Sweet106bakery.com. Mark T is discount code. Hey. I got my merch, says Milton Watkins, master bookbinder in Florida, with an Australian 10 note for us, a 10 spot.
Big shout out.
Thank you so much. Love from your favorite Australian bookbinder. We are really, he's our outpost. He's our show outpost in Australia. $10 for Delmar, says James Bliss.
Big shout
Delmar
out.
was the guy who wrote in, who said he's on a fixed income, but he watches the show all the time, and that it's sort of his touchstone. And it's cool to see the rest of the audience picking up for Delmar. He said, I'm on a fixed income, so I couldn't, New drinking game. You drink every time someone says thank you for the question during a
Big shout out.
during a confirmation hearing. It's always, yes, thank you for the question. Boy, you didn't hear that from Pam Bondi, did you? No. Like, share, subscribe, watch till the end, and comment, says Grunge Thing. Thank you, Grunge,
Big shout out
for pointing that out. It's important. Yeah, it really does help our show.
Iron rod.
Smash it. Make it count. Pickleball should include real pickles, says the last angry man. Yeah, I wonder how they call it. Why do they call it pickleball? I don't know what the derivation is on that. Maybe someone could look that up.
Google it.
Yeah. Richard Delamater says, Remarkables, will you be my Valentine? I love you. Wow. Well, Richard, we love you back, and they're very excited that you love us. I guess that's all the love you need. Cheryl says,
I think it's
Mark,
over this pickle boat. I'm not familiar with rowing, but because it's a combination of tennis, badminton, and ping pong, it reminded the creator of a pickle boat in rowing, which composed of a leftover crew.
Oh,
they call it pickleball. I'm more confused.
I still don't quite understand that, but
yeah.
I'm
not familiar with the rowing and how that works.
Yeah. Thank you for checking it out, though, Albert. That was very, very.
Albert, thank you.
You did respond to my query. So
he is the commish, right?
He is the commish. Yeah, it does fall into his territory. Pickleball meets rollerball. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. True Tech. Great call. Great call. Mark, you look perfect to me. No, you did look perfect. Yeah, I don't know what the lighting is a little weird today.
This is so ridiculous.
It is. Let's move on. Thank you for your comments, everyone. And if you need to reach the show, you can always reach us at themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. So without any further delay, although it is fun to delay, let's move on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Now, this man does it all. He's the culture blaster. Movies, music, streaming. He comes and goes on a rainbow. How about it for the wonderful Michael Snyder? Hello, sir.
Hey, thanks for finally getting to me. Wow.
Wow, it is late. Yeah, we only have a couple minutes for you.
I collapsed here waiting for you. You know, if there's any doubt that we're caught in hell's Venn diagram, the fact that this year, Friday the 13th, is followed by Valentine's Day should settle things, man.
You're right. That is weird, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
girl, baby girl. Don't even play.
Yeah, an old friend of mine used to say Cupid is the devil, and it's hard to disagree. That said, I just want to ask Mark and Kim to be my Valentines. What do you say?
That's sweet. That is very, very sweet. We love you, Culture Blaster.
Same here. And now that I've established that, how about sending me a cupcake from Sweet 106? Come on.
I was going to ask you if you came bearing cupcakes from Sweet 106.
I do hug and kiss people
I had a secret
casually.
agenda. I had an agenda, but that's okay. I'm looking forward to my first taste of sweetness from the sweet. But
you'll get it, my
It's
friend.
fantastic.
You'll get it. Sweet
Sure,
106.
sure.
We'll style you up. I promise.
I am netcasting from San Francisco, where I'll be for a few weeks back at the old homestead. And that doesn't change matters. We want to get down to business. And
But let me say something about San Francisco that I've been meaning to say all week, because I lived in San Francisco for some of the best years of my life, and I love San Francisco. San Francisco is a wonderful town. It is a jewel of a city. It is a treasure in America, and it's taken a lot of abuse and has some legitimate big city issues with homelessness and crime, et cetera. They've, I think, become better at handling that, but it certainly had reached a kind of critical mass for a while. But I'm making a bigger point, which is the Super Bowl that was hosted there in the Bay Area. What you heard from people, many of them, in fact, I pushed a couple to Albert along the way, videos of people saying, wow, I had no idea. I'd only read and heard what people were saying about San Francisco. It's incredible. It's wonderful. All the different ethnicities of the Chinatown, the way in which cultures coexist in this wonderful, vibrant way, the architecture, the hills, the vistas. I heard that from so many people, Michael, and I know there he is, this guy from Massachusetts in San Francisco. And listen to this guy talk about San Francisco. He was effusive.
Windy, up, down, some hills. San Francisco, this is like a mountain city. So I just walked up this shit. You can't even tell. It goes down a Mount Everest slope, right? And then beautiful homes, by the way. This fucking house is sick over here on the corner. Then look at this shit. This is what you walk down. Thank God it never snows in this fucking city. Holy shit. I mean, this city's like one giant elliptical machine. This is insane. Wow.
I saw that guy also do a video in Oakland explaining like how it reminds him of back home in Boston.
Oh, that's great. He was so wonderful. It goes on for a while, and actually it was preceded, that part that you saw, by some other stuff, him talking about how great it is. He said, man, I've never been here before. It's so great, you know.
Nothing I like more than you interrupting my segment with some ignoramus spouting off. Look, I live here. I know what the city is like, and I do know that it is like every other big city in terms of its troubles and issues, but it is the most beautiful city in North America. And even though I spend maybe the bulk of my year in Los Angeles, and I love LA, I do, I've got to say my pronouns are he, him, San Franciscan. That's all I'll say about that.
All right, now, Culture Blaster, thank you for being here. Go ahead with your wonderful reviews.
Okay, so let's kick things off. Director and screenwriter Emerald Fennell, who made two movies that I really championed, Promising Young Woman, which featured Carey Mulligan as a gal out for revenge, and Saltburn, which featured the always creepy Barry Keoghan as a guy who wants to up his class, an Oxford student that wants to get in with the aristocracy. She has now delivered unto us a new movie version of Emily Bronte's classic Gothic romantic novel, Wuthering Heights, which was published, way back in the mid-1800s. Now, this stars Jacob Elordi, Frankenstein's monster in the Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, and I believe he played Elvis Presley in Priscilla, and Margot Robbie, that's right, Barbie and Harley Quinn herself, as star-crossed lovers Heathcliff and Kathy, living in torment and recrimination from childhood to adulthood at the rundown Wuthering Heights estate on the stark, misty, windswept West Yorkshire moors of the early 19th century in England. Look, for all of Fennell's talent and spark as a filmmaker, I don't know. This just didn't sit right with me. There have been no less than 11 big screen adaptations of Wuthering Heights, including the immortal 1939 version starring Sir Laurence Olivier and Merle Oberon as Heathcliff and Kathy, and a bunch of TV versions. Yeah, I guess that makes Fennell's attempt the 12th film, if we're keeping count. And this is like Wuthering Heights for dummies. And it's what we might call a liberal interpretation of the novel, with significant characters missing. And get ready, Mark, the addition of hot sex scenes and a couple of flat-out S&M sequences.
Oh, my God. What is it with you kids now with the sex and the S&M?
Iron rod.
I was like, yeah, there's some iron rod smashing going on. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to tip her hand here, but aspects of the original story are here, but they are clearly a little overcooked. So young Kathy Earnshaw's single father, an alcoholic ne'er-do-well landowner, decides to care for a poor, rough orphan boy and brings him to Wuthering Heights, which is, of course, where they live, and where the kid is named Heathcliff, and where Kathy bonds with him to the chagrin of Kathy's paid companion, Nellie. And that bond ripens into an unspoken love, and they're going to, get down to business. But when they've reached copulation age, Kathy is injured, finds herself in the care of her rich neighbors, the Lintons, and considers marrying the head of the house, a wealthy textile merchant named Edgar Linton. So Nellie allows Heathcliff to overhear Kathy's plan to raise her status. This drives him to leave with no notice, which results in the Kathy-Edgar wedding. And 5 years later, Heathcliff returns, now well-to-do but still jealous, and he decides to woo Edgar's innocent sister Isabella as vengeance against Kathy, and the backbiting, sometimes literal, commences. I don't want to get into many more details. There's a lot here. And very, very little of it, there's a lot of stuff that's missing, like I said. So
wow, doesn't sound like there's anything missing, but okay, go ahead. Yeah,
I was suspicious when I saw the title was stylized with quotation marks in the posters and ads. Yeah, look, I didn't mind the non-traditional casting of Hong Chow. She is a fantastic actress as Nellie, nor Shazad Latif, as Edgar Shahzad Latif. If people ever saw Toast of London, he's the sound engineer, Clem Fandango, in that. And I was having a tough time not seeing Clem Fandango as this guy, Edgar Linton. I liked Allison Oliver as the demeaned Isabella and Martin Clunes as drunk Mr. Earnshaw. I also liked the music of Charlie XCX, whose modern pop songs are totally inappropriate and sprinkled throughout Fennel sites. Look, I'll be honest, okay? With Elordi and Robbie in the leads, I was expecting when Frankie met Barbie, maybe when Elvis met Harley. I think I would have preferred either of those movies. Bronte's book had its share of mental and physical cruelty. It decried hypocritical Victorian values and the class system, but she probably would not have gone with this take. It's hard also to feel much sympathy for these broken people. Kathy's really self-serving. Heathcliff turns really nasty. I guess it's in line with the main characters in Fennel's previous better movies, who are selfish and vengeful. Although this has some fun moments, Mark, and it looks great, and it could be a laugh for Valentine's Day if you go on a date to watch it. I think you'd be better off watching the Olivier Oberon Wuthering Heights.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, it does sound like he's not a fan of this one. So
this one is in theaters. I enjoyed it while I was watching it, but I was like, this isn't Wuthering. I don't know what this is.
No,
Anyway.
Okay. All right.
Let's
Culture
move
Blaster.
on.
Spent a lot of time on a movie that you weren't so crazy about. Go ahead.
Hey, you want to give people detail? I could have just said,
I don't know about that.
Really adapt the novel. You're just sending me off on another tangent, Mark.
Don't talk to me that way.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. In Crime 101, a meticulous and successful jewel thief played by Chris Hemsworth, we love Chris Hemsworth, whose heists follow Southern California's Route 101, is very careful to avoid violence during his capers, and he's growing weary of the gig, so he decides the next caper is too dangerous and begs off. So his boss, played by the great Nick Nolte, hires a loose cannon. Hey, it's Barry Keoghan again. He always plays a loose cannon or a lunatic. He has this guy on his tail, and as the guy is closing in on what he's dubbed the 101 bandit or something similar, the thief decides to go for one more big score and embroils an embittered insurance broker played by Halle Berry in a plan to rob a deluxe wedding at a plush Beverly Hills hotel.
Yeah.
So
I love a caper.
Yeah, me too. This is written and directed by Bart Layton, and it's a familiar genre and turf. I mean, think Michael Mann's Heat, but it's right in my wheelhouse, and it's fun. It's nothing particularly new. Still, it's the sort of movie I'm happy to spend time watching, and what a hell of a cast. Monica Barbaro plays the thief's new girlfriend. Corey Hawkins plays the cop's partner. Jennifer Jason Leigh, who has one small scene, plays the cop's estranged wife, and Tate Donovan is the rich target of that final caper. And they are fully in the swing of this thing. Crime 101, again, nothing earth-shattering, but I enjoyed it, and it's in theaters, and I think it will soonly be available on Amazon.
All right. I like it. What else do you have, a great Culture Blaster?
Let's see what I have here. Okay. Speaking of Los Angeles, it's the setting of my favorite movie of the week, one that I don't have any quibbles with. In typical fashion, it is the craziest of the films. It is a freaky, deaky science fiction comedy called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. And it actually starts off at Norm's, the venerable LA diner on La Cienega. Have you been to Norm's, Mark?
No, yeah, many times.
24 hours open. I love their Cajun chicken sandwich and onion rings. Well, I digress. Anyway, so on a rainy night, what looks like a loony street person bedecked in bits of discarded tech, wires, control panels, and so on, enters the crowded diner with a bomb trigger in his hand, and he says he's a time traveler who will blow the place up unless a group of patrons will join him as he tries to save the world from a technological danger. Did I mention that virtually everyone in Norm's is staring at their cell phones? That's kind of a clue as to where this thing is going. This guy also says he's done it many times before, and to prove it, he IDs a number of the customers by name and some of their backstories. And this is just the start of a rousing, funny, and thoughtful action movie. it doesn't hurt that the manic time traveler is played by the great Sam Rockwell, and his recruits include, among other people, a substitute teacher played by Michael Pena, his girlfriend played by Zazie Beetz, Juno Temple as sort of a mystery woman, and I didn't even recognize her at first. I love Juno Temple. And in a very significant role, Haley Lou Richardson, who looks like some sort of roughed up prom queen. And they are all going to bond together over the course of this movie and try to save Earth from this technological danger. This thing is directed by Gore Verbinski, who you may know his work. He's the guy who's done Pirates of the Caribbean films. He did The Ring. He did just a variety of films, and this is actually one of my favorite of Verbinski's films. And I thought the script, which was written by Matthew Robinson, was very, very clever, and it is opening in theaters all across America.
Wow. The premise sounded so funky that I thought you weren't going to like it, but it turns out you do like it.
I thought it was really well done. And, Haley Lou Richardson is currently in the kind of espionage period drama comedy called Ponies. And she's really good in this movie, too. I like her in that. But, I really recommend this. Again, you know what it reminded me of? It's kind of the freaky sort of movie that very much reminded me of Dust Bunny, which is a movie I also gushed over a couple of weeks back, some weeks back. They're unconventional. They're fantastical. And they're the kind of film that I feel is a change of pace from what you normally get. People are breaking the rules, and I really like that. Let's do one more film really quickly.
Yes, whatever you want. You're the boss, Culture Blaster.
Honey Bunch is not a movie for you, Mark. It is a dread-filled and somehow sickly funny fantasy, and I guess we would call it a little bit of that old body horror, Cronenberg's. Perverse and pretty twisted. Honey Bunch is kind of set at a facility out in the boondocks. A woman who has had some issues coming back from a coma is being brought there by her husband, who seems kind of like a milquetoast, but he very much loves her. And he puts her in the care of this institution, which is led by kind of a scary older woman. Grace Blowicki plays the wife. Ben Petrie plays the husband. Jason Isaac shows up as someone who's brought someone else problematic, his daughter, to this institution. And as the woman in charge, the great character actress from the UK, Kate Dickie. I have to tell you, man, Dusty Mancinelli and Madeline Sims Fewer wrote and directed this thing, and it is a freak show that I really enjoyed. It's streaming on Shudder, and you start to find out some very sinister things about this woman and about her past that are revealed over the course of the movie. Again, it's not going to be for everyone. It is very twisted. There's a bit of dread here, but it's very well done, of kind. Honey Bunch gets my recommendation. Yeah, of course, it's typical, Mark. I like the weirdest stuff that we're talking about.
Well, you've got a broad, and it's perfect as a critic that you are someone with a broad sense of taste and accepting of that.
And it's really something to see Jason Isaacs and Kate Dickie in this. It's a Canadian production, and they must have read the script and gone, you know what, I think I'd like to do this. And it is not your ordinary movie. It does have horror elements, and there is some like grotesquerie abounding, but it's not like it's particularly gory. And I thought it's pretty interesting. And it talks in some ways about the morality of certain scientific and medical advancements. And it's actually set in some kind of, it's like the 70s or 80s. I definitely got a kick out of Honey Bunch. And again, if you have Shudder, you can stream it right now. Quickly, let's wrap up with a couple of TV recommendations. One in particular. Let's just talk about this one thing that I really, really love. You know, you're an LA guy. I sometimes think of you as Mr. Hollywood, Mark.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh.
I do. And I think that you would get an immense kick out of Wonder Man, which is created by Destin Daniel Cretton, who is the director of the upcoming Spider-Man Brand New Day. And he did Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, both for Marvel. And Wonder Man is a Marvel character, but is reinvented here. This movie is kind of a buddy comedy movie. This series, 8 episodes, all available for binging on Disney, it reminds me very much so, and it does so deliberately by introducing the meet between our two buddies at a Los Feliz theater showing Midnight Cowboy. Our hero, so to speak, is a Hollywood actor named Simon Williams, who is he's a Haitian American who's been trying to make it in Hollywood, and he kind of keeps getting in his own way. He gets a small role and he starts complaining about aspects of it to the director and the writer. He is not what we'd call a team player. And he meets a guy in this theater, an old actor played by Ben Kingsley. And Ben Kingsley is so wonderful in this thing. It's a character he's done before in Marvel movies and TV shows or whatever. And he's just fantastic. And the bond these guys create is palpable. And I found it just charming, as it turns out that the Ben Kingsley character is investigating this character, Simon Williams, played, by the way, by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who is also pretty damn good in this thing. And this guy, Simon Williams, may have superpowers, and a government agency wants to keep an eye on him. I thoroughly enjoyed Wonder Man. It's a lot about the Hollywood experience, how difficult it is to get roles, how much of I call it a dogfight, to get something going in Hollywood if you're a struggling actor. And it's also got connections to Marvel, but you don't need to know about those Marvel connections to thoroughly enjoy Wonder Man.
Wow, I'm intrigued. I might actually tee that one up.
Well, are you a fan at all of Joey Pantoliano? Do you like him
of course,
at all?
Joey Pants, as he was called, I think, by a lot of people who knew him well. Yeah.
He plays himself in this thing, and he is hilarious. And Josh Gad also plays himself in Wonder Man. And like I said, it's as much about the LA experience and the Hollywood experience as it is about Marvel. And you don't need to know much about the Marvel universe to enjoy Wonder Man on Disney Plus.
Wow. Well, there you heard it. A healthy, hearty endorsement for Wonder Man. And again, it comes from that creator of the Spider-Man movie that's coming up, this buddy comedy. I'm going to check it out. The Culture Blaster also went to Honey Bunch. He liked it. He liked Honey Bunch. And he also liked Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which is the Sam Rockwell film in which he plays a loony street person, or someone who looks like a loony street person. Comes into Norm's, the famous diner in L.A. with a bomb trigger in his hand, or what looks like it, claiming to be a time traveler. Michael Pena's in it, Juno Temple, Haley Lou Richardson. Michael really liked it.
Oh,
the
yeah,
Culture
it's
Blaster.
my favorite.
It's your favorite?
It was my favorite of the week. I totally enjoyed it. By the way, Sam Rockwell, a San Francisco guy, lived very near to my apartment in San Francisco for a little while.
How about that? Did you ever have any occasion to bump into him?
Yeah, at the Royal Ground Coffee place, he'd go in the mornings and read scripts. Very, very nondescript. Nobody bothered him, but I recognized him and said, "Yo," I gave him the finger
What
pistols.
up? The yo, yeah, I see you. I see you. You see me. I see you. Yeah. Yeah. Crime 101. The Culture Blaster liked the Chris Hemsworth, Halle Berry, Mark Ruffalo, Monica Barbaro, Corey Hawkins, Tate Donovan movie. Sounds like it's kind of a fun caper. I think I might be into that too. Culture Blaster had a couple of goodies for yours truly this week, maybe even 3 of them. He started with Wuthering Heights. Gave me everything I needed to know about Wuthering Heights. He went through every painful specific in detail.
I only gave you the tip of the iceberg, the tip of the
That's
iceberg.
scary if that's true. Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie. There's S&M in it. There's a bunch of other stuff. Michael said, that wasn't bad. He said, I just think it was Wuthering Heights, though. I don't know what it was, but it was not Wuthering Heights. Yeah.
I didn't know what it was.
I love our time together. I encourage others to check you out. TheVoiceSF.org is where you can find Michael's writings. If you like him speaking, you'll love him writing. The magic of the voice that comes right from his heart to the keyboard. TheVoiceSF.org. Culture Blaster, enjoy your time in San Francisco. We'll see you in Los Angeles sometime soon. We enjoy every minute you spend with us. We're very grateful for your presence. And when you come down south again, we'll have some Sweet 106 bakery stuff for you. I promise.
Yeah, that sounds great. And you and I can go to Norm's and see if we encounter any time travelers.
He comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Culture Blaster.
See everybody.
Yeah, wow. The Culture Blaster in rare form gave me the lowdown on that Wuthering Heights.
Thompson Show.
No, I'm just saying. Thank you, audience, for hanging out. I know we went around a little late. Love you guys. Happy Valentine's Day, says Cameo. Love you, Cameo. I take your love, I add my own love, and I send it back to you.
Big shout
Big
out.
shout out. Thank you for the love. Really do appreciate it. Well, I wish I could stay on even longer, but go get that guy some sweets, somebody says. Yeah, really. Let him talk, Mark. Let him talk, says Cassandra.
Big shout out.
What? I'm here to cut people off, Cassandra. That is my
What?
Yeah, I felt a little bit like at some point we don't need to know anymore about Wuthering Heights. That's what I was feeling at that moment. But yes, I tend to let him go. And once in a while, it just seems like. Patrick O'Sheen says, Trump has always feigned mental health issues, and I will ding feigned. That is a ding word. He is a narcissist. He will use it to ultimately avoid accountability. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I think he doesn't worry about accountability. This is clearly a country where you don't need. I mean, look at what's happening in Great Britain and Europe as a result of the Epstein files. I mean, my God, it's taking people down left and right. Heads of government. Their prime minister knew nothing of Epstein. Had nothing to do with Epstein. Hired somebody who was in the Epstein files. Didn't know he was in the Epstein files, and now they want the prime minister out. I mean, it's incredible. In this country, you got the president. He's in the Epstein files 1 million times. Literally, that's not an exaggeration. He's had to hire FBI agents, bring them over from other details to dry clean the Epstein files of his name, of the Trump name. He still shows up all of these times, and it bounces right off of him. Welcome to America.
Can I tell you that I sent an email last night to the principal of my school and the PTA because the school my kids go to is a customer of LifeTouch. And this company has, in the last couple of days, the leadership, the man has stepped down, but the founder of LifeTouch is under fire for showing up in the Epstein files.
Wow.
And this is one of the biggest school picture companies in America. They take pictures of kids. I mean, come on. And so if you read the allegations against this guy, who I would imagine still holds stock in the company and profits off the money I'm spending to have my kids' pictures taken.
Sure.
I just made it clear that this guy was in the Epstein files, and maybe we ought to think about using another company.
Good for you. Good for you. Wow, that's something. I wonder if you'll get anything back on that. I'm
waiting.
You have to let us know.
Okay.
Yeah. It's LifeTouch or Lifetime, says Phineas. Is it LifeTouch?
Touch. It's touch.
Yeah. LifeTouch, which is sort of an eerie.
I know. It's eerie. And also their pictures were rotten anyway. So.
Oh, I said, wow. Kim is really, yeah. I'm so appreciative to everyone who's made this week happen. Thank you. I've got a really great recorded interview coming up. I'm going to record it here in another few minutes, and I'll share it with you next week. It's all about Trump's growing dementia and growing physical infirmities from someone who has expertise in these areas. He's a PhD, and I'll share that with you next week. Also next week, on Monday, Gary Dietrich, the political ninja, and Sarah Kendzior, the best-selling author, journalist, and investigative reporter. Thank you, Albert. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, everybody, and all our guests this week. Have a great Valentine's Day. Happy Friday the 13th. And now, the great Shadow.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Out of time. After party's going on.
Bye-bye.
Over there on the After Party Live channel. Until Monday. Bye-bye.